Something that you see talked about more and more lately is how much speaker cabinet or impulse responses can change your overall guitar tone. While this is true, I don't think that there's necessarily one cab that is better than all others, and it got me thinking about combinations of cabs and amplifiers. Is there a best cab for a particular amplifier? I wanted to try and start this as a series, so if this is something that you like or is interesting to you, make sure to hit the like button to let the YouTube overlords know. And I figured what better way to start a series about what cabs are best for what amplifiers than with the Peavey 5150. What's up everybody, welcome to the channel. Today I want to answer the age-old question, is this the best cabinet for a 5150? I don't know if that's an age-old question, but it's a question I have. I'm sure some of you are interested in that too. I got this idea because I've been purchasing a lot of cabinets lately. And we all know, or at least most of us know, I think, that cabinets really dramatically affect your tone. And what cabinets you decide to pair with what different amplifiers can kind of have some interesting results. So what I wanted to do here is I wanted to take the tried and true 5150 block letter, plug it into a few different cabinets, and then just kind of like compare them. We'll like A/B them at the end, and we'll see, you know, if the 5150 and the oversized Mesa cabinet, you know, very popular combination. We'll see if this is the best combination. Now, if this is something that you guys really enjoy and you want to see in like a series, let me know by hitting the like button, and you know, we could probably make that happen. Another thing that I wanted to do with this video or this series is capture IRs of the cabinets, so that way you can try them out for yourself and, you know, with your favorite rig and see if it's something you enjoy. The IRs will be in the free IR section on my Discord. You can go there to grab them. So we'll start with the 5150. Which cabinet is the best for the Peavey 5150 block letter? Mean. This has been one of my favorite combinations of cabinet and amplifier, like for forever. I love the 5150. It's such a cool amplifier. Let me explain how I have everything hooked up. I'm going into this 𝗦𝗣𝗡𝗦𝗡𝗦 pedal. This is boosting this 5150 amplifier, and I don't have the, you know, I have it like in boost mode. The level up, the gain down, just like a little bit of grind, you know, just a little bit. But I'm also using this gate. This gate is really helping me out right now. Going into the red channel of the 5150, you can see the settings there. I have an SM57 down here, miking up this cabinet. Now the mic placement is gonna be the same on all the cabinets, as close as I can get it, so that way we have like a true comparison, you know, within reason. Like, I'm gonna do my best. I'm not like in a laboratory, you know, or something. But this SM57 microphone is right on the edge of like where the cone meets the cap. Very popular place to put an SM57. And then I also have an SE Electronics Dynacaster moved away from the cabinet a little bit, pointed at the center. And the reason that I have that microphone is to capture sort of like the in the room boominess or like the low end, because I find that that differs a lot between all of the cabinets, and it's a really hard thing to capture when you're close miking a cabinet. So that's why I have it that way. There is a reason that the Mesa Oversize cabinet is such a highly regarded cabinet, and like why it's used so much. It is just really aggressive. And that's actually the reason some people don't like them, is because it is like a very mid-forward, highly aggressive cabinet, but it has a lot of like low end. Not quite as thunderous as some of these other cabinets, which you'll see here soon. But it has great tight low end, you know, it being an oversized cabinet, that's not like a huge surprise. Just a really, really cool cabinet. Okay, let's swap this cabinet out for one of my new favorite acquisitions. Let's do it. All right, now I am plugged into my Bogner Uberkab. This is one of my most favorite acquisitions of this year. This cabinet is awesome. It's one that I really vibe with a lot. Now, interesting thing about this cabinet, we actually have an X pattern of vintage 30s and G75s. The speaker that I have mic'd up in this cabinet is a vintage 30, so that way, you know, we're not comparing apples to oranges with the Mesa Oversize cabinet. However, this is a 16 ohm, actually I think the rest of the cabinets that we're gonna be looking at are 16 ohm cabinets, so the Mesa Oversize cabinet is 8 ohms. Now, does that matter? I don't really know, but if you have an opinion on that, or you know, you have some knowledge that you want to share, please drop it down in the comments for the sake of the rest of us that get confused by, you know, ohms. Now, what I noticed being in the room with it, this is less like aggressive in the mid-range. You know, even though we have vintage 30s in here, something about the combination of G75s and vintage 30s, it just, they do something to each other and they make it a little bit more like smooth and less like in the mids, if you know what I'm talking about. But there is a tremendous amount of low end with this cabinet, and it's not like muddy or woofy or anything like that. It's really like tight, but deep. And I think that's why I vibe with this cabinet so much. It's like, that's what I look for in guitar tone a lot of the time. This is my watch telling me it's too loud in here. Another thing I really like about this cabinet is it kind of like articulates in the top end. There's better note separation between the, you know, high notes than the Mesa cabinet, I think. At least that's what I'm hearing right now. Like there's just really good like note separation, you know, when you're playing like that. Sounds good, man. I like this cabinet a lot. I could see this becoming my go-to cabinet, you know? I'm in the honeymoon phase still, so we'll have to see if that happens, but I really like this cabinet a lot. It was a really good purchase. Okay, let's swap this out for another cabinet. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, the next cabinet in the lineup, this is the Marshall 1960A lead cabinet. This comes stock with GT75s. I actually swapped out 2 of them and put them in an X pattern with V30s, kind of like the Uber cabinet. It actually made this cabinet much better, in my opinion, but for the sake of like comparison, you probably want to hear more of like what a stock 1960A cabinet would sound like. I mic'd up the GT75 speaker instead of one of the V30s. But we still have this Dynacaster microphone trying to capture some of the room ambience and stuff, so that's what it sounds like. And there's some things that I noticed right away with this cabinet. Now, in full disclosure, I bought this cabinet like really used, and I had a discussion with one of my good friends about these cabinets as well, and he informed me that there is as much variability between the GT75 speakers and the 1968 cabinets as there is between like vintage 30 speakers. So, you know, there is a lot of things going on with this cabinet that could be like hindering its performance in my eyes. But the thing that I noticed right away when I got this cabinet was it was really shrill and like kind of like scooped sounding. And the high end was like sort of hissy. Like there wasn't good clear note separation like there is in the Uberkab. And you know, the distortion didn't sound tight. Like it sounded like fizzy and kind of hissy in the top, like more so than the Mesa Oversize cabinet, which is what people typically don't like about those cabinets. You know, when you hear people say they don't like the Mesa cabinets, it's like this, but more of that. This cabinet is also significantly quieter than the other cabinets for some reason. You know, take that for what it's worth, but those are just some things that I thought I should disclose to you. And one of the main reasons that I bought this cabinet, which seems counterproductive now, but I bought this cabinet because like just in my mind I was like, oh, Marshall, like those are like more rock and roll tones. It'll be a smoother cabinet. It'll be a nice contrast to the Mesa Boogie cabinet that I always use on my channel, but no. It's not that way at all, unfortunately. But yeah, that's my experience with the Marshall cabinet. Maybe yours differs. If it does, definitely let me know down in the comments. I'm getting more curious about these cabinets now that I had the discussion with my friend. But let's move on to the last cab that we are going to pair with this 5150 today. And it's not that Bogner that's over there. I know that's what you're thinking, but that's not the case. You have to stick around and see what it is. All right, I have the last cabinet here, sort of a curveball cabinet. This is a Peavey 𝗔𝗡𝗧𝗏 cabinet. Now, the reason I'm using a Peavey 𝗔𝗡𝗧𝗏 cabinet is because I don't own a 5150 or 6505 cabinet. However, this is a Peavey cabinet. It has Sheffield speakers in it, although they're like XXX voiced Sheffield speaker, whatever, you know, you get the point. The cabinet construction is going to be very similar to a 5150 or 6505 cabinet, so I figured this was a good one to compare. And the amp settings have stayed exactly the same for the whole demo. I didn't want to change any of the settings. I didn't want to dial anything in. I just want you to hear the true difference between these cabinets. But again, download the IRs, test them out for yourself. Let me know what you think. What I'm noticing right away in the room, this cabinet has like that shrillness the Marshall cabinet has. Like it's very top end, like hissy, sizzly, kind of unpleasant. And it doesn't really have a lot of low end, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like if you were playing with this cabinet in your practice space or something like that, you probably wouldn't notice a huge difference between the low end of these different cabinets. But it's also louder too. Like out of all the cabinets, this one is the loudest with the amp at the same exact settings. So I don't know if that means anything. I'm just telling you what I'm experiencing. Yeah, out of all of these cabinets, there are like some frequencies in here that are very like ear piercing. This cabinet is definitely giving me the most ear fatigue out of all of them by a lot. Doesn't mean it sounds bad. And again, I would highly suggest, you know, playing around with this, trying some different amp or whatever you're using this IR with settings. But you know, for me, for this setup, especially compared to the other cabinets that I just, yeah, it's just not doing it for me a whole lot. That's okay though. Again, if this is a series you guys are interested in, the best way to do that is to like and share it. And you know, you can leave me a comment down below. Let me know what amp you would like to see with the different cabinets. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.